I, 32M, live in Minneapolis with my wife, 30F. We don't have kids and honestly like it that way. About 3 years ago, after saving aggressively through our 20s, we bought a small lake cabin in northern Minnesota. It's nothing extravagant, just 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and a deck overlooking the water, but it's completely paid off and it's our favorite place to escape to. We spend about 20 weekends a year there, fishing, sitting around the fire pit, enjoying the quiet. It's our retreat from the world. The trouble started last summer when my cousins, Tyler, 34M, and Chase, 29M, discovered just how nice the place really is. They've always been hustlers, the kind of guys who jump from one business idea to the next without ever sticking the landing. They've tried sneaker reselling, crypto coaching, even a luxury car rental business that was just them renting cars on Turo. They're perpetually broke but always talking about their next big move. One afternoon Tyler texted me out of the blue, "Yo, man, that cabin is sick. You should let us manage it as an Airbnb. We'll handle everything, bookings, cleaning, guest messaging, and split the profits with you." I politely told him no. I said it wasn't really set up for that and that we bought it to keep it private. He kept pushing, telling me we barely use it and were sitting on free money. I told him again no and thought that was the end of it. A couple of weeks later, my parents hosted a big family barbecue. Tyler and Chase showed up already buzzed and immediately started talking to everyone about their brilliant business plan, which was, of course, my cabin. Tyler made a big speech about generational wealth and how some people just sit on assets instead of using them to make money, while staring right at me. I tried to laugh it off but Chase doubled down, saying it was selfish to keep a property like that to myself when family could be using it and profiting from it. That's when I finally snapped and told them, in front of everyone, that it was my property, that I paid for it, maintained it, and that no one was entitled to use it or make money off of it but me. That started a whole argument. Their mom, my aunt, jumped in, saying family should share, that my uncle had always dreamed of a lake place, that I was blessed, and should share the blessing. My dad stayed quiet, sipping his beer, and my mom just gave me her "please don't start a fight" look. My wife and I left early that night. On the drive home she told me, they're not going to drop this, and she was right. Fast forward to Labor Day weekend. My wife and I stayed in the city because we had friends visiting. Around noon on Sunday, my phone rang. It was the neighbor across the cove. "Hey, there are a couple trucks at your place," he said. "Looks like a party. Just thought you should know." My stomach dropped. I pulled up the cabin security cameras and, sure enough, there were Tyler and Chase, plus about 8 of their friends, sitting on my deck, drinking my beer, acting like they owned the place. I called Tyler immediately. He answered, music blaring in the background. "Relax, man," he said. "We're just having a little get-together. Nobody's inside." Except one of their buddies was clearly inside, on camera, rummaging through my fridge. I told them to get out immediately. Tyler laughed and said I needed to loosen up. That's when I called the sheriff's department. By the time deputies arrived, half the group had taken off, but Tyler and Chase were still there, and still drunk. They tried to tell the deputies they had permission, which they obviously didn't. I pressed trespassing charges on the spot. That night my phone blew up with messages. My aunt wrote paragraphs accusing me of ruining their holiday weekend, and saying that you never call the cops on family. My mom called me crying, asking me to drop the charges for the sake of peace. My dad called later and just said, "Son, I get why you did it, but this is going to cause a storm." Then I found out the worst part. Tyler had already listed my cabin on Airbnb, using photos from my Facebook, and had 2 bookings lined up for later that month. I was furious. The next day I drove up to the cabin, changed every single lock, installed a heavy-duty chain gate across the driveway, and upgraded the camera system to send me instant alerts. I told my parents that from now on, no one in the family was allowed to use the cabin for any reason. I thought that would be the end of it, but in October Tyler and Chase showed up at my house in Minneapolis. They pounded on the door, shouting that I was breaking up the family, and should come outside and talk like a man. My wife refused to let them in. I called the police and filed for a no-contact order the next day. Thanksgiving came around and my parents begged me to come to dinner, promising Tyler and Chase wouldn't be there. We went, and about an hour in, guess who showed up? Apparently my aunt had invited them behind everyone's back. Tyler tried to apologize, but within 2 minutes he was talking about how we should put this behind us and start making money together. I stood up and said, loud enough for everyone to hear, I will never forgive someone who broke into my house, drank my beer, trashed my deck, and then tried to profit off it. We left right then and there. My aunt posted on Facebook that night about ungrateful family members and tagged me. I thought maybe that would be the breaking point and they'd finally give up. Nope. The week before Christmas, Tyler and Chase drove back up to the cabin with power tools, cut the chain off the gate, and broke in again. My property manager, yes, I had hired one after the first incident, got an alert from the cameras, called the sheriff, and met deputies there. Both cousins were arrested again, this time for breaking and entering, destruction of property, and communicating threats because they apparently told the property manager they were going to beat my ass when I showed up. This time I refused to drop the charges, even after my mom begged me to. I told the DA I wanted full restitution for the damage, which was nearly $5,000, and a permanent restraining order. About a week later, I received a certified letter from their lawyer with a signed apology from both of them, a cashier's check for $5,000 to cover the damages, and a request that I tell the DA to drop the charges so they wouldn't lose their jobs. My lawyer advised me to accept the payment but to still push for a formal settlement agreement, basically a civil restraining order, before agreeing to anything. That's what we did. They signed everything, promised to stay away permanently, and the charges were eventually dropped after restitution was paid. This New Year's Eve, my wife and I spent the weekend at the cabin alone, drinking champagne on the dock and watching fireworks across the lake. Tyler and Chase are blocked on everything. My aunt tried one last guilt trip about how family should stick together, and I told her, family doesn't break into your house and try to rent it out behind your back. I haven't heard from her since. Life is peaceful now. My wife says it feels like we finally have our weekends and our sanity back.